this morning's panel discussion. Our topic for this panel discussion is opportunities for young people introduce aviation industry. Well, aviation is often viewed as a distant dream, a world reserved for a select few accurate processes, financially, academically, or socially out of reach. But today we are here to challenge that narrative because the truth is aviation is evolving and so are the opportunities. This conversation is going to go beyond the cockpit and cabin crew. For today, we will unpack the realistic impact pathways, training and funding opportunities, mentorship and career growth, and most importantly, how steps young people can take to start their aviation careers today. So, without wasting much time, allow me to introduce our panelists as though we're walking up front to the assist. Are we together? Are we together? Are we together? I'm not hearing you right, you guys. Are we together? Yes! That's what I said. Allow me to welcome Ms. Nyasha Manyika. She's the Y Ambassador, founder of Dzvova Africa, co-founder of African Leaders in Aviation, and is a commercial pilot. If you were used to seeing on TV, now today you're watching a live. Also, allow me to welcome Mr. Maruta. He's a licensing officer at the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe. Please let's give it a allow me to also welcome Engineer Mufaro. She's an engineer and pilot, and she's also into farming. She's the madame. The madame. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'll just do, I think, a few seconds of a self-introduction because I know I didn't do justice to your profiles. I was like, I'm too small for this. I'm too small for this. My shoes, I can't fit into this. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
How are you all doing?
We are good.
You guys, come on, let's make it louder. How are you all doing?
We're fine.
Are you excited?
Yes.
How many pilots in the house?
Woo!
Aircraft engineers? Air traffic controllers? Flight dispatchers? Aviation lawyers? Aviation doctors? Drone pilots? I'm so excited to be here. My name is Nyasha Manyika. As previously mentioned, I'm the Women in Aviation International Ambassador for Africa. I'm involved a lot, mostly in outreach for aviation and STEM. I'm passionate about that. Getting more youth involved in the sector. There's a big shortage. So I'm so happy when I see many of you interested in pursuing the field. I'm also a pilot, involved in a lot of other projects as mentioned, but I'll cut it short. Thank you.
Okay, hello guys. Good morning to you all. I'm excited to be here. As stated, I'm trustworthy Maruta. So my background if the Iranian war comes here, you are safe with me because for 16 years I was in the Air Force of Zimbabwe. That's where I trained as an aircraft maintenance engineer. Then before joining the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe and the licensing department. So currently that's where I work, and mainly I deal with the licensing of aircraft maintenance engineers. I'm also an aeronautical engineer with the inaugural group of the program, which was introduced at the University of Zimbabwe, Aeronautical Engineering. I did aeronautical engineering, avionics. I'm so passionate about training and mentoring, and also outside of aviation, to show that I love training, I'm a volleyball coach. So it excites me so much when I see young folks so interested in aviation. As stated by my colleague here, there's quite a great shortage in aviation professionals globally. And there's really a huge task to mentor the new generation into the aviation professional. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Very much so excited to be here this morning. And it's inspiring to see young minds like you come together where you could have been doing so many different things, but seeing that passion, it also fuels us, I suppose, with my colleagues here, to keep on pushing, knowing that the next generation is in safe hands. So I'd love for you to give yourself a round of applause for just heeding the call to be here. Well done. All right, my name is Mufaro Dzvova. I know most of you, they don't know me. I'm quite introverted like that, and I love it that way. So we'll keep it that way, isn't it? Yeah, so I'm a pilot. I'm an engineer, and as well as a livestock farmer, and yeah, some other business as well. So I'm more of an entrepreneur, kind of lady. My drive mostly is to inspire this young generation, especially the ladies, because I think we have been lagging behind in terms of the technical aspects of life, and that's what I drive mostly. That's where my focus hinges on mostly. I hold a first-class degree in mechanical engineering from the UK, and M.Eng, Masters in Engineering again, another Masters in Aviation Risk, Safety and Regulation from Cranfield, London. And I'm hoping soon we would have changed titles again. So watch the space. Thank you very much.
Let's give them another round of applause. Okay, so my first question goes to Ms. The Trustworthy Maruta. Yeah, got that right. Without them talking about opportunities for young people in today's aviation, my first question to you is, many young people are interested in aviation, but don't understand where to begin. How can you simplify the pathway into aviation?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So, yes, truly speaking, as we move around and meet young people, they are so enthusiastic about aviation. But then turning dreams now into reality usually becomes a challenge. People don't even know where to start from or which pathways exist in the aviation industry. Some may just like being near the aircraft, but maybe they don't really want to be pilots. So because they don't want to be pilots, they think that's the only profession in the aviation industry. So they get scared away saying, maybe I cannot be a pilot, or maybe I don't have enough money to pursue pilot training. So firstly, I would love to say that the aviation industry is so broad, but maybe people are only exposed to just a very small fraction of what aviation covers. Maybe somebody is interested in accounts, they are good at accounts at school. You can really contribute to the aviation industry. Some maybe are good with people, maybe for customer care and all that. It contributes to the aviation industry. Then some are engineers, some can be pilots, some can be, mostly people will say air hostess. Maybe that's the title common with many people to say air hostesses. Maybe you can say cabin crew people, where you are good at dealing with people, you are good with dealing with emergencies and all that. So maybe to start with the most common pathways, like pilots. To be a pilot, many people also think that you must be very good, maybe at science subjects. Maybe you are required to have mathematics, physics, and chemistry. But in reality, the main requirement for you to start pilot training, like here in Zimbabwe, is the ability to speak English, full stop. So there are other requirements which will be then put in place, like how do we measure that you can speak English? That's where we say we would want you to have your O levels, including English language. Then you can start training as a pilot. However, because I've made this requirement so simple, it doesn't mean to be a pilot is a very easy thing, because these people are very critical in the aviation industry. You have to carry lives of people from A to B. So there are rigorous tasks you have to go through even during the training until you become a qualified pilot. Currently in Zimbabwe, I think we would have 1, 2, 3, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's 3 training schools we have in Zimbabwe at Charles Springs there. So after you finish your ground school, then you have to come to the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe, where you write your exams, just as you do with your driver's license. You are trained there. When you are ready, you go to VIT, you write your exams, you pass your exams, then later you go for the road test. So same applies with pilot training. You train at your school. When you are ready, you come for exams. After your exams, then you can do your air test, and then you qualify for your license. But that's only the beginning. You have to add new ratings, be proficient on a different number of aircrafts, and something like that. So the main challenge usually people face is the financials, because pilot training is quite expensive. I think we will discuss that in later questions. For aircraft maintenance, mainly in Zimbabwe, is through the apprenticeship training. Years back, Air Zimbabwe used to have maybe intakes yearly, but things went west somehow. They stopped training, but right now they have revived. So I know in the past 2 years they've been taking apprentices for training. That's the main pathway for aircraft maintenance engineers. Or the one I went through, it's also apprenticeship training, but under the Air Force of Zimbabwe. The training program is the same from Mexico. We now have degrees like the University of Zimbabwe or even degrees from foreign colleges. Maybe for further information we'll discuss about that because there are some challenges with those programs. Many people have been disappointed going for those programs and for scholarships. When they come back, it appears there's no place for them. So we might discuss that in another question. And then for air traffic controllers, the Civil Aviation Authority of Zimbabwe usually take people, train them, and up to licensing level, and usually employs them for full-time work. However, there are other now opportunities like ground handlers. Maybe I'll leave that for another question. But what I want to say is that the aviation community usually requires you to be a very good networker. To tell you the truth, if you just stay in Zimbabwe, maybe you finished your training, you might not even see any vacancies, and you think nothing is happening in the aviation industry. But ask us, we know Nyasha has moved from this company to that company, so there was a vacancy. You hear 2 guys have joined that company. So the aviation industry is mainly about networking. You have to be good at networking and be good at speaking the aviation language, just like any other profession. Then you become so much marketable. Thank you.
That was very insightful. Let's get that for once again. So my next question goes to Ms. Nyasha Manyika. Many young people today feel lost or overwhelmed when choosing a career. How can aviation realistically become an option for someone without clear direction?
Thank you for the question. Thank you, Mr. Maruta, for laying my foundation, as he covered most of the answers. So with aviation, as he mentioned, it's a wide ecosystem. Everything is there. Think of any career which you think is outside of aviation. You'll find it in aviation.
Yeah.
So sometimes you might want to become a pilot, but you're overwhelmed by the cost itself. I always tell young people, there's nothing wrong with first doing what you can afford. If you can first become a flight dispatcher, a very good flight dispatcher, not good at the job itself, but even your attitude at work, that will start building your funding. Because the owner of that place is going to see that, oh my gosh, this young person is working as a flight dispatcher, but he or she has so much potential. And their dream is to become a pilot. What does the owner of the company do? They can actually send you to a flight school and pay for you. There are many scenarios like that. So have a vision board where you put, this is what I want to do. How will I get there? Small bites. You don't have to wake up as the CEO of a big corporation. You lay your small steps. Okay, I want to become a pilot, but funding is an issue. What are my options? Let me start hanging around at the local airport. As Mr. Maruta mentioned, networking is everything. You start getting to understand what are the steps. Oh, I need to get a PPL. I've got exams that I need to study for. I need books. I need this. And you build your staircase so you can get there. Like I was saying, you can start off as a flight dispatcher. You can research. There are different scholarships that are available. For example, there's Women in Aviation International scholarships. There's the NBAA. They sponsor business aviation scholarships. They may not pay for the whole flight training, all of it, but you do it in stages. You get funding for your PPL, you get your PPL. Next, you get funding for your instrument rating, you apply for it. You apply for scholarships for your multi, bit by bit. If funding is the issue. So you can grow is what I'm trying to say, that you may not have the funding, but you can start from somewhere. There's so many examples of people who even started as cabin crew, but they later went to the cockpit. There's also examples of people who may have thought they wanted to be pilots, but they started in other ground roles and they grew in those departments and they're like, you know what? I actually don't want to be a pilot. I actually enjoy doing operations, and they build their way in that regard. So if you feel overwhelmed, go to your vision board. If you didn't have one, create one today. Put your small chunks. How am I going to start to get to point B, C, D, E? If plan A fails, you've got all the other letters of the alphabet till you get there. It may not be a straight path, but you will still get there. So take it easy, calm down. It's okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nyasha. I could have got all the letters of the alphabet. Okay, so my third question goes to Engineer Dzvova. Your career spans aviation, engineering, and entrepreneurship. For a young person who feels pressured into choosing one path, how can they strategically position themselves to access opportunities across multiple industries the way you have?
Thank you very much. That's quite a comprehensive and interesting question. My approach will be a little bit different. I'll tell you about myself. Then you can also have a look at your life and see where you fit in and how you can, manipulate your way around things. So you realize that these days for young people, the idea that you must choose one path early, it's quite limiting, especially with the interdisciplinary world that we now live in. So for me, my journey across aviation, engineering, and entrepreneurship, it has mostly been anchored on transferable competences rather than job titles. So I could have come here and say, look, I'm the head of flight operations at Zingsa, and I'm also an executive space projects engineer. I'm also, but that doesn't matter to me. That doesn't carry weight at all. What carries weight is the deliverables. What is it that I go through and then deliver at the end of the day? What is it that what is the community benefiting from those so-called job titles that we love so much, you see? So my foundation was on, or rather my beginning was on building a strong foundational skill set. What do I mean by that? I started my journey as a commercial pilot. I graduated in 2011. Don't do the math, hey? You can't be calculating my age now. Yeah. So from there, I then realized, look, I'm more into analytical things, problem solving, discipline, and I love systems. Hence, I ventured into engineering. So you also have to look at your life. Okay, what is it that I'm interested in? Look at things that brings value to the country, or rather to the world at large. Because remember, the world is evolving now. You find we have so many technologies that are coming in, and they're rendering many of the jobs useless. We have the data guys, and AI coming into play. Look at COVID, what it did. I'm sure my colleagues can attest to that. Most of us were just grounded as pilots. And that's when many people realized, oh, I actually have the potential to do 1, 2, 3 things. So I think the other advice I can give you, like what my colleagues have just mentioned, start with one strong anchor discipline. Look at what is it you're interested in? That is, what are the low-hanging fruits? Engineering, IT, business. Do that. And then continuously add layers to your skill sets, or rather complementary skills to whatever it is that you have done. And I think that will actually set you apart from the rest of the group. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. I'm now coming back to Mr. Maruta. What are the key requirements a young person must meet before they can even begin training, and how can they start preparing them?
Okay, thank you. So you'll find that generally what you'll find as requirements is the requirement to be issued with a license. The requirement to be issued with a license. Just maybe let's say, for example, to be an aircraft maintenance engineer, you should be 18 years old, maybe at a minimum. But that's the requirement to get a license, not to start training. You get that? So which means if the requirement for you to get a license, the age requirement is 18 years, it means you can start training before 18 years. But however, that one will also depend on the training institutions. Like for example, in Zimbabwe, the requirement to be an aircraft maintenance engineer, you should have completed the apprenticeship training program offered in Zimbabwe. But however, that also translates to something, because for you to enroll in the apprenticeship training, you should have had your O levels. So which means the formal training you can only begin after you have completed your O levels. But then just developing yourself in that there's nothing which stops you from doing any other online training related to that in your preparation to become an aircraft maintenance engineer. In today's world, information is readily accessible anywhere, anytime, be it YouTube, be it LinkedIn, even from the, I think if you also check the accident investigation, those series which are produced, they are very educative. You learn a lot about the aviation industry, and you see how other departments come into play in aviation. So maybe generally I would just say you can start preparing at any age you want. Only the formal requirement now to be issued with a license are the ones which are strictly stipulated. But otherwise, at any age, you can start preparing yourself for aviation. And also, as others were saying, be like broad-minded. Like she was mentioning about the incoming of AI. The International Civil Aviation Organization Authority is also now trying to come up with regulations about the use of AI in aviation. Other states, other jurisdictions are already using AI. Data analytics, as she was saying, maybe a data scientist. Right now, there is this issue of safety management, where states are supposed to come up with the state safety programs. The main thing behind that also is issue of data processing. So you might be very good at data, but then you can also apply it into aviation. Those are other fields also which are coming up in the aviation industry. So for you, while we are at school, one of the best things I think I'll commend you for is attending these seminars, this aviation camp. As I said, aviation is more of networking also. From this networking, that's where you get information of what's required in the aviation industry. And maybe while I'm on that, you can just maybe clap hands for Mr. Ngoni there for this initiative. So I first met the issue of flight wings through a student who had visited our training academy at CARS. So while we were talking, she mentioned about these aviation camps. So I had to search on the internet. I found Mr. Goni, I found his LinkedIn. That's why I first communicated with him. As I said, I'm so interested in training and mentoring. That's when we began talking. Then recently this year, that's when I visited him physically. We had a lengthy discussion. So that's how I got so much interested now, understanding what he's trying to bring here. He's bringing certain other ideas which we don't have here in Zimbabwe, but which are being implemented somewhere and they are really helping the young folks into aviation. So it's a great initiative he has made. So also attending such camps, joining aviation clubs, I would say is another way to start preparing yourself for a career in the aviation industry. So the best I would say is join such clubs, follow them religiously with all you can. From there, you will get vast information to help prepare yourself, to help you know of the opportunities available. Now you have attended this platform. Who knows, maybe next week you'll be with Nyasha. She will give you a certain opportunity. So, so develop yourself in networking, mostly. Network. You will get vast information about aviation careers. Thank you.
That was very insightful. So to Miss Nyasha Manyika, from your work with young people, what are the biggest fears or misconceptions holding them back from pursuing aviation?
Thank you. The two biggest things, there's the money part, the funding, and then there's also, I didn't do sciences.
Yeah.
Those are the two big ones. So the first one, finances, my parents can't afford, and that's where the solutions come. I don't know if you want me to share, because, should I expand? So the two biggest, the math, the sciences part, and the funding. So for the funding part, that's where we were giving you tips on starting where you can afford. If it means you have to go to uni, you study something that's relevant to today. As they mentioned, there's AI, data analytics, things like that. Something that will get you going. You may actually fund yourself. And another thing to remember is like the retirement age for like things like flying can be 65. So if you get another qualification, for example, you finish school at 18, you graduate by 23, you start a different profession, there's still time to go to, for example, I'll use flight school. You can actually fund your own flight. That's how other people do it. You can actually be at flight school with someone who's 30, but they believed in themselves, they were passionate about it, they got into it through another career, but they're self-funding. So that's another way you can do it. Or like the one I spoke about, you can start in flight dispatch, you build on, or the networking part is real. I'll give an example of myself. I started my flight training in some long time ago, Charles Prince. I moved to South Africa. Whilst I was doing my flight training, my mom lost her job and my dad passed away. And my flying was not where it was supposed to be yet. So what did I do? I started researching on the internet, looking for scholarships, other ways to do it. That's when I found out about Women in Aviation International. Back then, there was what was known as South African Women in Aviation, SAWIA. I joined SAWIA. I was a volunteer for SAWIA. Then they recommended me for scholarships through Women in Aviation International. I was sponsored to attend conferences in the States then. During those conferences, I met other female pilots who later funded all my flight training. So never underestimate networking. Never. It's a relationship that you have to work on and you build. It's not just a once-off. Hi, I'm looking for PBL books. Hi, I'm looking for university this. It's a relationship and it's ongoing. It's the same, I'll give another example with Ngoni. Like you were saying, he's really done a good job, so proud. We hosted an aviation camp in South Africa last year, but one. He came through. Then this year when he said, Nyasha, I have a camp. I live in the UK. I came on Friday for this. That's because of networking. We have a relationship. So it's that speed dial that you have on. So your network is your network. Yeah. You might not have anything in here, but who's on your speed dial?
Exactly.
How can they get you to the next step? Or they know someone who knows someone who can help you. So never underestimate. Even in your groups here, make sure you get to know the other person intentionally. You don't know what they're going to be in the next 5 years. They could be the same person who lifts you up. So never underestimate networking over anything. In terms of the sciences, yes, you might not be doing them, but at least now with AI and all this, you can start learning the basics, the physics behind. You can learn all that. I'm sure most of you have smartphones. These phones are not just for, you guys are on what now? Snapchat or TikTok. And all these things are there. The physics you guys have was harder for us than you guys.
Yeah.
It's all there, simplified. So there are no excuses. Okay? So yeah.
Yeah, that was very very okay. So to engineer, my question is, as I have trained as a commercial pilot and worked in aviation, what are the unspoken barriers young Zimbabweans face when trying to be in the industry? And based on your experience, how can they realistically overcome?
Thank you very much. I think my colleagues have sufficiently exhausted the possibilities when it comes to unspoken barriers. Obviously, the financial constraints, I'm not going to talk much about it because I think they have done justice to that. There's also information asymmetry, where many, they don't know the pathways or requirements. And my colleague from Civil Aviation of Zimbabwe did justice to that, as well as Miss Nyasha there. She spoke of the Y scholarships. There's quite a number of scholarships around. And I always believe that if you do your research, which is very, very important, and you need to be deliberate and intentional about it. If you do that, you come up tops, and you actually come up with more opportunities and possibly share with your colleagues that we don't even know about. So go on, do that research, because it really helps when you're in this industry. Another thing is limited exposure and networks. Ms. Manyika spoke about that a lot. We can't ever emphasize on networking. I think that's your gateway to this whole aviation journey, to be fair. If you're going to be that introvert who doesn't want to come out, then down. So you really, really need to be intentional about networking. Make sure you go out in those places. Hence, I also commend my brother for going out of his way to make sure that these camps, they happen for you. As for us, when we started these journeys, we only had the air shows, the Air Force air shows. That's the only thing that was available for us. And it was also difficult to try and attend those air shows back in the day because there was a certain group which is eligible to attend those. So if you see these camps being advertised, etc., it's not it's not a business per se. Yeah, we could say that, but ultimately we want to try and take you out of that comfort zone so that you also see new horizons, what other people have been suppressing downwards. We also want to be on that global level or global stage where we say, okay, where we can demystify some of these things. Oh, it's aviation. Okay, it's not a biggie. I know that. Possibly, ultimately, you also say, I'm not interested in aviation. I think I've done enough research and that's not where my passion lies. Then you find other pathways that you're passionate about. So it's quite a good initiative, and I commend Ngoni for this. Thank you very much. I think my last point would be on seeking mentorship. You can never outgrow yourself or grow to be someone who is big if you are full of yourself. Everybody needs a mentor. Even the president himself, he has advisors. Why? Those guys, they come in with new things that he doesn't see. Remember, there is an ecosystem. So have someone who mentors you and you'll reach greater heights. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So, Ms. Maruta, there's a lot of misinformation online. What are the biggest myths you would like to correct for young people?
Okay, that's an interesting one. But I believe some of the issues have already been touched on. Like Nyasha here was mentioning that one of the things becoming a barrier to people is the issue of sciences. It's not really a major requirement that you must be a science guru to get it in the aviation industry. Okay, like I think I once mentioned about pilots. What is the requirement to be a pilot, right? For maintenance engineers, you might say, yes, this is engineering, so you really need sciences. It would be good to have sciences for engineering. But otherwise, in Zimbabwe, if you have your O levels, you have mathematics, you have your English, and you have a science subject, even combined science, you qualify to train as an aircraft maintenance engineer. Aviation is quite a regulated industry, working with the standards and the regulations. So for aircraft maintenance, not maybe the design and building of aircraft, but for maintenance, actually you are not really allowed to think a lot. You have to follow laid down procedures. If an aircraft develops a problem, there are some people who have done a rigorous work to say, if the aircraft behaves this way, first check this. Take these measurements. If it is like that, then do this, then do this, then do. That's what you'll be doing when you do aircraft maintenance. And for following those procedures, you can earn yourself very good money without even having done physics and the A-level mathematics. So you see that you can even start aircraft maintenance without going to A-level, just the O-level. So this science requirement in people, that's a myth. It has kept many people away from aviation. The other, maybe I talked about it, the requirement to be a pilot. Some thought you really need to be a science guru also and all that. But I know in the Air Force, they would require that you should have A level to join the Air Force and to be trained as a pilot. You should have gone through A level. But otherwise, in civil aviation, A level is not a requirement. Then, some have heard that in aviation, what really matters is a license. Just do all you can and get a license. Once you get a license, you're home and dry. But as we were sharing here, if you are not good at networking, you might really be disappointed in aviation. As I have said, especially like here in Zimbabwe, if you look in the aviation industry, you think nothing is happening. No vacancies are coming out or whatever. But I tell you, a lot will be happening. So maybe on a national level, maybe our industry is not yet that very big. So companies do not want to waste time maybe experimenting, putting out vacancies there, taking 20 people, going through. You're not even sure if the person you are getting is the right person. So company X knows Nyasha. They've worked with Nyasha, or Nyasha wants to leave company X. To just say, Nyasha, whom do you recommend? The next thing, you will find somebody you were in class with is now at company X. Where was the vacancy? Where was it? It wasn't there. But it's an issue of networking. Maybe just to add that on that one, I'm also into career. I'm not a career coach, but there's a career coach I work with. I've learned a lot of things. You guys, if you can also find a career coach. Not really like maybe an aviation career coach, but generally just a career coach to know what you must do or what you must be to be a marketable person. I've really learned a lot from that. So I would also encourage, if you guys are not readers, I grew up not a reader. I was a science person, so I didn't love reading. I just want my mathematics, calculations, and all that. But right now, like as you can see, I'm holding this book. I'm now a reader. I read this other book which is called Ego is Your Enemy, Your Own Ego. So, as Nyasha was saying, that you must start small, where you can. But because of ego now, that might be your biggest problem. Sometimes maybe for you to pursue the aviation field, you must even volunteer to start as a general head person at an aviation company, which might not sit well with your ego. But that's the pathway. So through also career coaching, I've learned a lot of things. So if you get your license, yes, you're good, yeah, you are better positioned, but that's not all the story. You need now to break into the aviation industry. I would like to say, not to frighten you, but to tell you the truth, sometimes it's quite difficult to break into the aviation industry. Once you're in there, I think everything will sort itself out. But breaking in there, because sometimes it appears a closed community. Also, think globally. Don't think about Zimbabwe. When you deal with aviation, think globally. You can go anywhere. Okay, then also maybe something to do with maintenance engineers. There are a lot of scholarships which are coming out. People are going out there, they do aerospace engineering and all that. Then they come back. When you come back now, you think, I've learned, I got a degree from Ukraine, I got a degree from China. I think we will be the gurus in the aviation industry. When you come back here, you find that the industry is not ready for you. Or it seems as if there's no place for you. So before you enroll in those scholarships, maybe sit down, have somebody in the industry to discuss with your pathway after that. In the aviation industry, the most important thing is the license, not the academic qualification. And the license depends much on the hands-on work, not the academics. I hope you get that. So, it's not really the degree or the title of programs you do, but getting licensed. In other jurisdictions like the Nyasha countries, one can come from the street, go to work in a company who maintain aircraft, then complete some years of experience, maybe 5 years of experience. They come to the regulator, they write the exams, they pass, they get a license, they qualify. Then you go there with your degree. You have to work under this person who is not degreed, but they have a license. So these are also the dynamics which are in the aviation industry. Don't be attracted much by the degrees. Work towards attaining a license. Then afterwards, to grow maybe into management, executives, and all that, you do now these other professional qualifications like the degrees. Also, maybe just to divert a little, after you've finished, maybe you're a qualified engineer, a qualified pilot, and all that. I've seen this trend, people don't grow. So up until somebody is 60 years old, they're just still using the spanners and all that. They will never go into management. I think that's something which really has to come to an end. As early as you qualify, start to work, gain managerial skills, leadership skills, supervisory skills, so that you also grow in the aviation industry. I'll say maybe I've talked about 3 or 4 myths which I know of. So just be careful about that. Any other we can discuss later. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. Now access to mentorship is a major challenge. How can young people connect with mentors? And in your personal capacity, how are you currently supporting or willing to support young people in this space?
Thank you. In regards to mentorship, as previously mentioned, it's very important to have the mentors. I think, like, if you are joining the aviation clubs, the Flight Wings Aviation ones, if you can join, there should be mentors who will be put in place for each and every one of the members. These mentors will help guide you. The vision board that we're talking about, you have someone who actually walks the journey with you, holds you accountable, which is very important. Because you need to have your short-term goals, have your medium-term goals, have your long-term goals. With your mentor, they can actually walk the journey with you. I'll give an example of myself. I've got 2 mentors that they are both airline pilots, and it helps me because, for example, when I was still in flight training and I was having issues, even if it's issues flying or with the exams and I didn't understand anything, and I felt discouraged or down, like we spoke about earlier, I was able to go to them and explain what I was going through, and they were able to tell me that it's okay, you just need to change this and that. And I go back and I'll change this and that, and guess what? It would now go on smoothly. So having a mentor who has actually walked that path is good, because they see what you don't see yet. Because they're probably at the top of the mountain. You are kind of maybe in the middle. You don't know what's there. You're feeling, oh my gosh, this mountain is so tall and so high. Oh, how am I going to get there? I'm tired, I'm exhausted and all. But that mentor is one that that has already walked. They can come pick you up and help you. But mentorship as well is two-way. You yourself also need to put in the work, so that the mentor as well who's helping you is also inspired to keep on as they see the progress that you're making. So mentorship, you could look for the mentor. For example, Women in Aviation International, if you're a member, they've got a mentorship section where you can sign up to get a mentor. Then you can have that mentor. Other people do group mentorship. We have also done, through African Leaders in Aviation, we have worked with companies like SERV in Uganda, whereby they have new apprentices who join the company, and we have monthly mentorship groups with them. So we bring in professionals, different aviation fields. They have an hour session with them every month. With the mentoring, then there's the feedback, going back and forth, which is also good. So you need to see, are you able to do the one-on-one mentoring, or can your aviation club provide mentoring for you as the group? Or are you going to join an organization like Women in Aviation International? I know if you're a student, and now especially they've lowered the joining. I think some are actually free if you're in high school, so you can actually join and be that. And sometimes your mentor can actually be someone who's not in the aviation field. If you've got an uncle or aunt who's in accounting, or they're maybe even an entrepreneur, or they're into farming, but because the things that you'll go through are the same. It's just maybe different fields, but it's the perseverance that you need to keep going. And even a farmer has to farm, and maybe the rain doesn't seem like it's going to fall down, but they have to endure different things, so they're able to hold your hand and endure whatever it is with you. So you can also look in your circles, who is it you trust, who you can approach. Hi uncle, hi aunt, can you please be my mentor, or a family friend, or someone who you see is successful in what they're doing. That itself can help. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that. So my last question to you would be, you have not limited yourself to aviation alone. Also venturing into other sectors like business and farming, what does your journey teach young people about building financial sustainability while you're pursuing a high-cost career like aviation?
Thank you for that. I think my journey per se, it's unique in its own way, in the sense that you realize that in this day and age, you need to diversify. You can't just rely on one income stream. I think this will be more beneficial for you when you grow older, but we want to try and start nurturing you now so that you appreciate the realities of life that you are about to face. Remember, life is not an easy trip. Right now it feels easy because possibly your parents are sponsoring everything, or you have your own sponsors, you're like, okay, I think we can just do it. But when you then get to a point where you are the sole provider, you then realize, oopsie, did I make the right choices here or not? And that's the other reason we are also trying to mentor you as early as possible, so that you start building your careers now and not later. So responding to that question, you shouldn't rely on one income stream. whilst pursuing an expensive dream. That's my philosophy. You should be able to sponsor your habits. Personally, I'm very comfortable. I was going to tell you a story. There's one question that has already been answered, but I was going to tell you a little story about my journey when it comes to that, where I think my colleagues, they spoke about getting degrees from, from outside SIM and the like. Yeah, I'm one culprit. And I also did MPC, by the way, maths, physics, and chemistry, 15 points. Another culprit, you see. There's no wooing about it, you hear me? Because aviation on its own, you have to put in the hard work. You'll find that it's a whole different world that you would have ventured into. And once you've gotten your degrees from out there, I want to bring us to answering this particular question, but in a slow way, isn't it? I got here, you realize that the industries, they are completely different. Out there, I was involved in designing, right? Where we design the aircrafts and then we build them from scratch. We give them to the engineers to start building. You come to Zim, then it was maintenance. Then you're like, okay. So my colleague spoke about ego. You need to swallow your ego. I kid you not, I joined one airline somewhere in Africa, I won't mention where. I worked there for 2 good years. I was getting 21 US dollars. It was not enough to cater for my transport for a week to work. Remember, I already had my commercial pilot license. I already had my first degree. I already had my first master's. And I just had to sink in. And people would ask me, oh, you're doing a diploma. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm doing that diploma. So they saw me as an apprentice in a what do you call those guys who be understudying?
Apprentice.
Yeah, them ones. And I was okay with it. I had to stay down for as long as possible in order for me to gain the skills and the experience that I needed. But guess what? The HR knows who you are because you would have submitted your CVs, etc., etc. After 2 good years, I was promoted to a director in operations. And everybody was just like, oh, what's going on with this apprentice? From apprentice to director. What kind of corruption is this? So what am I saying? I'm giving you a little bit of my journey so that you can appreciate that in as much as, yes, you might feel like you're big, oh, I don't have to do this dirty work. You need to go down there and do the dirty work. You need to get in there, do the engineering part of life. Do that so that it can fund your expensive dream, isn't it? Do that farming. Maybe you're coming from a farming background. I do. That's why I then ventured into farming. It's one of my strong skill sets. So I just delved in there, get a bit of money, fund your other expensive desires, fund that expensive aviation journey. And I tell you what, it's going to be a fulfilling journey at the end of the day. And at the end of the road, you look back and you're like, you know what, I think I've accomplished exactly what it is that I wanted to. And just to be on the contrary a little bit, I'll tell you about a friend of mine. He then delved into aviation and funds didn't permit. We're talking about trying to fund your expensive dream by going all out when you have other low-hanging fruits, isn't it? Do you know that he left Form 4? Remember the requirements for being a pilot. You just need your license. But remember, a lot can happen in between those journeys. We all have our journeys and our stories that you might not like if you hear about them, right? But at the end of the day, he left his A levels. Hence, I always encourage youngsters to go up to their A levels. If you can even do your degree and do something, you see why I say that. He left, he started flight training. He couldn't fund that journey at some point. And now he didn't have any money at all. So he ventured into photography. Eventually, photography evolved, and he also didn't evolve because he didn't have the funds.
Yeah.
Now he is Kumusha. But we started this aviation journey together. So what am I saying? My personal advice from his experience would be, don't go up to Form 4. Because the time I started telling him, you know what, you need to go back to school so that you can go to whatever. His other peers were already degreed and stuff. So you also don't want to fall back. Have a fallback plan, just in case this doesn't work out. At least I have my A levels. It's easier for me to just go to uni. But then if you end at O level, then you see your peers now they're in uni, you're like, hey, they're gonna see me now and Form 5. Say. So you also need to broaden your mind that way and think along those lines. Otherwise, I'll encourage you do whatever it is, as long as the skill sets complement each other. You see that you live a much more comfortable life. And you also need to give your kids a better life to the one that your parents have given you. I think that's the best gift you can give your parents, where you make them realize that, you know what, you didn't spend your money for nothing. I can now do 1, 2, 3 for my family as well. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I was very inspiring. Yeah, I think I'm also learning a lot from this panel. I'm learning a lot. So this question goes to everyone in this panel. In your personal capacity, what more can be done to bridge the gap between passion and access for young people in aviation?
I want to go first. Okay, thank you. Maybe I just want to say to engineer here, you didn't go contrary. Actually, you put it correctly. Maybe when we're talking about the requirements for engineering and pilots, some might have maybe thought that no, so I just need O level and I'm done. I leave everything else. We are not really encouraging that. Actually, what we wanted you to see is that there are no really stringent requirements which are there in aviation. But as she has rightfully expressed it, go all the way you can. Don't be narrow-minded, right? Aviation will always be there. Even if you start by doing a degree, you can then come back and pursue aviation. So surely to have a fallback plan, go all the way you can. But maybe in some cases where maybe it's not permitting, right? I wanted also just to show you that with O level you can start a career in aviation. Thank you for that, engineer. Okay, so back to the question now. You said, come again, so that I respond correctly.
In your personal capacity,
Personal capacity, okay.
what more can be done to bridge the gap between passion and access for young people in aviation?
Okay, thank you. I think we can just call Mr. Ngoni and distance here, and then we say that's the solution. Is there much we can? Is there anything much we can say in that? Okay, thank you. Maybe as highlighted earlier, globally, there's a real shortage in aviation skills. I believe even for pilots, I think now there's a debate going on of increasing the retirement age to 70 years from 65. Because of this, shortage. If you check also in the ICAO document about maintenance engineers, the gap is so vast. That one, especially for maintenance engineers, I can even talk from experience. When I left the Air Force, okay, some things are quite sensitive to say, but right now you find that the Air Force is kind of like calling back the seniors who had retired. They're being called back to work because of this shortage. In our civil aviation industry, there is also a very big gap, skills shortages. Now, here's something that is also happening. The young generation, just like just you were speaking, and maybe when I talked about ego, and when she was mentioning that you need to go down, do that dirty work and that. But sometimes we have got a generation who are not really ready to do that. So like for maintenance will always be maintenance. We have to get in touch with those oils, the greases, get dirty and whatever. So maybe the philosophy or the spirit behind aviation, the new generation, sometimes that information has not really been passed down well. From my experience, I saw that usually long-back people used to go, okay, I will speak with the background in maintenance engineering, maybe we can apply this to all other fields. So long-back, people would be sent maybe out there to manufacturers and they have their training there, right? So issues of safety, the safety culture, being professional, with ethics and all that, from the manufacturers, those things were really drilled into the people. However, maybe we had a weak system of transferring this information from the older generation to the new generation. I've read about these generational gaps. You guys, which group are you? Which group are you? Huh? Gen Z. Yeah, right. Something like that. So you find that the way we learn, it kind of it has changed. I could do mathematics without a calculator. I remember when I went to use it 2017 when I did the aeronautical engineering degree. The first modules you're doing common subjects. So 2 times 3, these guys need a calculator. But I don't need a calculator. So maybe now that's something also that is really to be looked into. How these guys can easily learn. I shouldn't approach them with the way I learned. Surely learning without a calculator is not a problem with me. But with these guys now, it's a problem. We learned without any computers. We would write down the notes. You write down the aircraft engine, maybe hydraulic systems. You draw it out. You log everything. You make the explanations. But for them, maybe you put a simulation. They understand better. So the approach to teaching has to change in my view. I also experienced when I was at UZ, seeing the way this other lecturer was teaching, and with this generation, yeah, I saw it's something else. Also, maybe with the use of simulations, virtual reality, and all that. When training used to be done long back, we had more aircraft and all that. Maybe even Nyasha, if you worked here a long time ago. So the opportunity to have hands-on, you had more opportunity for hands-on work than sometimes right now, especially when we talk here in Zimbabwe. So maybe now making use of technology, virtual reality, so that people can have more hands-on work, even using virtual reality, will enhance the skills of the people. Then platforms like this, where people are nurtured from the young age, the ethics of the aviation industry, it will really help to capture them while they are still young. So that when I say, John, get out there, it's not a problem to them. And also to you guys, what I would just encourage you is be a person of value on your own. That's the first important thing, to build yourself to be a person of value. Our age group and others, we learned to take responsibility from tender ages, but you guys, you've come with the maids at home and all that, so when you come from school, you just take off your uniform, you leave it at the floor there. In our days, it never used to be like that. You would even wake up in the morning, you have to go for 5 kilometers to go to school. Mom would not wake up to prepare you a breakfast or whatever. You do it on your own. So maybe sometimes this is the gap that is there. I understand I have to be responsible. And when I approach these guys, I expect them to have that same sense. But sometimes they are not like that. So then, we cannot really cooperate well. So that's why these older guys, they are left with the aviation information. But this new generation, they are computer literate, they've got good computer skills. If you could bring the two together, they share that information, we integrate it with the technology, I think we would progress well. So I think we need some intermediators there who understand the ethics which were drilled long back, and who also have an appreciation of the new technologies to integrate the two for the help of the younger generation. Thank you.
Thank you. I think he's covered everything. I was just going to add on that audit your social circles. Like you said, with all these tools you have, if you're on LinkedIn, if you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, since these things work with algorithms, you want to be an air traffic controller, pilot, and all, try to follow those influencers who are showing you the way to that. Because technology can be good and bad. But if you really want to access this, grow that passion and all, feed yourself with the right things. Even on the games you play and all, there are also some games that are aviation themed and all. You can also bring yourself closer to accessing all that through that. So your tech, make sure it's for good. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I only have 2 words. Be intentional. Thank you.
Okay, so as we round up to finishing our panel discussion, I'll open the floor to only 3 questions because we are now running out of time. Do we have anyone in the audience who has a question for our panelists here? Make sure you make it short and straight to the point because of time.
Before I introduce myself, I just want to thank our special guests, like the great pioneers, like you said, that us and everyone who's there. Yeah. My name is Shane Ranaza. I'm an aspiring pilot. As youth, uh, we tend to have this sugar rush. Like when we are told to dream big at a young age. So we tend to get this sugar rush, like to aim for the greater heights at an early age. So my question is, how do we diesel off the sugar rush, like to rush into our goals so early? Because it might disturb our educational, like, goals.
Okay, I'll attempt that one. I think like we have been mentioning, be intentional about it. Know exactly what it is that you want to do. Like what Nyashi just said recently, know your circles as well. Because remember, those sugar rushes are coming from peer pressure, isn't it? So if you are intentional, you're going to then realize that, okay, this is not what I intend to be doing. This is now peer pressure that's driving me to do one, two, three. So let me stay focused on this. And then also capitalize on the low hanging fruits. So, and you build your greatness slowly. Don't just aim to be great, but build it up slowly, slowly. Pick on the low hanging fruits as you get to where you want to be.
Thank you very much.
Okay, maybe just to add on, there's nothing wrong in aiming big. That's all what we want here. So, but beware of motivational speakers.
Oh, yeah.
Because usually, not that they are bad, they'll be telling you the truth. But the problem is that maybe sometimes you just catch a little piece of what they are saying. But the other story behind, you never get to know it.
Yeah.
Maybe it will only be a statement you will see on a channel. Maybe it's on LinkedIn or Facebook. But the whole other story behind, you are not aware. And then also, as was encouraged here, have a mentor. They keep you on track. They will share with you realities, not just dreams. Thank you.
Yeah, and yeah, also a vision board. The vision board works really good, well. You put short-term goals. You can put that in terms of like 6 months. Within the next 6 months, what do I want to achieve? Could even be grades at school and all. Medium, when I finish school, what am I going to start with? Then your long-term goals. Then you take everything in small bites. It's like driving at night. You can't see the whole way. Just bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. Get there. What you also need to realize, yes, you've got all that energy, but there's going to be challenges also that are going to come and they take away all that adrenaline rush. So have a plan. The mentors that were said, and take small
Okay, last person. Let's make it fast and snappy.
Hi, my name is Ruth. My question is about, you spoke about how like certain factors can stop young people from achieving the goal they want in aviation. My question is about how other things, like let's say family, may also affect how you want to. You mentioned as well that you're supposed to start small because that's how you eventually get there, right? Your parents might be like, I have this dream for you, or you tell them, I have this dream, and you are starting small, but they see not see the future in that, the small steps you're taking. So like, how would you deal with how your parents are putting pressure on you, saying, okay, you are doing this for now, but like, I don't see you, benefiting. Let's say money, for example, it's not giving you what you need, like in terms of money, you need to move out maybe or whatever. So how would you deal with how parents would like maybe try to discourage, but in a good way, whilst you're trying to achieve that dream?
I saw you explain.
Okay. What I always tell people is you can't argue with results.
Yeah.
And there are results at every stage. You start attending a club, you join a chapter, your parents, people around you, they're going to start seeing the change in you. They're going to start seeing the opportunities that are coming up for you. At first, they may be like, in my case, I'll give an example. When I first started telling my family that, because like I said, I was stuck, I didn't have money for flight training and all those options came up. Why not try something else? Why not do this? Why not go back? Why not? I had all those things to attend to. But deep within, I knew what I wanted and I was pushing for it. And I often got those remarks, even when I started saying, I got a scholarship, and I'll show them the emails and I'll show them this is sure, this is. But now, or it can be a scam, or it can be fake, it can be. But as you keep moving and the results start coming, for example, you get the scholarship, the funding actually comes through, they actually see that, oh my gosh, this is real. Or you're volunteering, you get another opportunity, or you get the job, or you get something. Then they actually see that, oh my gosh, there are results. So I would say you have to be strong, you're gonna have to be tough. Aviation is not, it's not easy. You may actually have all the funding in place, all this, but there are hurdles that you're going to face. You have to be tough. You have to be assertive, you have to know what you want. I'm not saying you're going to be rude and all this, but you have to find your way around them and have the results that speak for you. You don't have to do the speaking anymore. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. On top of that, as you were saying, you have to be tough. When I was reading the advert about this camp, I think whoever wrote when they were explaining about this simple year, they came out the word of determination. So I always tell people that your determination will determine how far you will go. That's one thing which is also very critical. So sometimes when you are dealing with your parents, if your vision is not clear and you are not really committed to fulfilling what you desire, you might fade along the way and maybe give in to those pressures because also you don't have clarity of what you really want to do. But then also, secondly, when dealing with parents, remember, you are still under their roof. Sometimes, okay, not discouraging you, but there are times you might need to barge into their demands to get you to a starting point. Once you can have a side hustle of your own where you can sponsor yourself, then pursue the aviation route. But if they are now still calling the shots, it might be difficult really to fight with them. Because, as I've been speaking, this generational gap, what you see and what they see might be very different. It may be very difficult to convince them. But later on, through your determination, maybe through some volunteer works where you don't get anything, but you're volunteering, but still fulfilling the requirements of your parents, through those volunteering, you might come up with other opportunities you will find which will now speak for you. So also know those politics and dynamics, how you deal with your parents. Thank you.
I think the whole parental issue is quite a sensitive one, to be fair, and a tricky one. So you'll find that it's not a one size fits all, like my colleagues are saying here. So I'll tell you a story in 1 minute. Personally, I was very clear about what I wanted to do ever since I was in primary school. So I'm one of those few who can say, I'm a dream what come true. I mean, no chirungu cha chocho. Saka ndini mwacho na. You know, when I finished my A levels, I got a scholarship to go to the States. I got a scholarship to go to Rhodes University, all for engineering. I had to stick my boots on the ground and say, I want to be a pilot. That's what I want to do. So I spent a whole full year grounded at home. I'm a 2000, you won't know how that feels. Being grounded, no phone, there were no phones, no mobile phones or anything. It's them cartoons and stuff, and, you know, grounded. So I could convince them that, you know what, I'm not going to waste your money. I'm really assertive and intentional about what it is exactly that I want to do. So in my life, I've lost 1 year convincing convincing the old folks that, you know what, this is what I want to do. And then the other thing, I want to come back to what my brother just mentioned. Now that we are grown-ups and we are mature, you'll find there's so many different dimensions and politics within the family circles. And apparently our parents, they don't tell us because we are kids. So they try and manage that. So I also want you to open your mind to that possibility that your parents, they see, they have certain things that they can see, but they can't actually openly tell you that. So what do? They can't tell you, my daughter, yes, you see, we have this so much money, but this money is supposed to do 1, 2, 3 so that 1, 2, 3 can happen for you. So at times you just have to be resilient inside, make sure your vision is clear to them, but do what they want. Remember, we spoke about the low-hanging fruits. I'll repeat, low-hanging fruits. Grab onto that dream that they want you to pursue, and eventually sponsor your expensive dream, sweetie. It can't be that difficult. Look, I have a herd of over 450 cattle of mine. That was my dad's dream. But look, I then had to do it at a later stage. So some things, they really do catch up. So don't worry. Do what's within your reach, and you get to where you are. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, that marks the end of our panel discussion. Thank you very much to our incredible panelists for your honesty, your insight, and your willingness to pour into the next generation. And to our audience, thank you for your attention and engagement. And yes, I do know that we have questions. Trust me, we can have all the time until we're done here. You can feel free to go to them, ask them questions.